exciting conversations in the world of sports. I am Mutabe David, and I'm so very delighted to return. We're back at it once again to look at, of course, what's happening across the board from the world of tennis, where 1,000 Masters sort-level event is currently up and running, both in the WTA and the ATP scene. We'll also look at conversations surrounding the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, the playoffs of it in different continents, as well as even the intercontinental playoffs, where it started off yesterday with some teams amassing victories as well. One of such teams was Jamaica. We'll take a look at that as well on the show this fine morning. But before we extensively talk about all of these stories, let's first of all bring you up to speed with big development making rounds in the world of sports. Welcome to the show. Women's basketball team, the D Tigers, have expanded their upcoming United States tour on Hard Rock Stadium and looked back from there en route to an emphatic 71-minute victory. Sina, who is aiming to become the first man to complete the coveted Sunshine Double of winning Indian Wells at Miami Open in the same year since Roger Federer in 2017, will take on third seed Alexander Zverev in the semi-finals. The 24-year-old has now reached the semi-finals in 4 of his 5 Miami appearances. Away from that, American Coco Gauff cruised past Karolina Muchova, but won 10 games in a row to take control against Czech 13th seed Muchova. To the track race of Formula One, where George Russell led teammates Kimi Antonelli to Mercedes 1-2 ahead of McLaren's Lando Norris in the first practice of the Japanese Grand Prix. Russell pipped Antonelli, who took his maiden win at the last games in the middle of the season. World champion Norris was 0.132 seconds behind Russell in his McLaren. Piastri was 0.199 seconds adrift. An encouraging start to the weekend for the Australian and McLaren, who have had a difficult first 2 Grand Prix. Apart from the Shanghai Sprint, Piastri has not completed a racing lap in 2026, and in China, both McLarens retired with separate battery issues before the start. The Ferrari and Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton were 5th and 6th fastest. Away from that to the world of football, where Kylian Mbappe moved to within 1 goal of equaling France's all-time top goal scorer as his side beat Brazil in a friendly at the Gillette Stadium in the United States of America. Mbappe was sent through on goal by Ousmane Dembele in the 32nd minute and dinged the ball over on Russian goalkeeper Ederson. It was Mbappe's 56th goal on his 95th appearances for his country. Only Olivier Giroud with 57 goals in 137 caps, as for Marcus Thuram in the 66th minute, having had 2 further half chances, dragging 2 shots wide in the first half. The forward, who made his France debut, having last started for Real Madrid on 22nd February. On Wednesday, he denied reports that his injury had been diagnosed by a Real medical team member mistakenly examining his wrong knee. France were reduced to 10 men in the second half when last man Dayo Pamecano fouled Brazil fullback Wesley just outside the area. But despite having one man less, Didier Deschamps' France doubled their lead through Hugo Ekitike's close-range chipped effort in the 65th minute. Brazil, managed by former Real Madrid boss Carlo Ancelotti, pulled the AFCON sports wrap-up at this time. We'll take a breather. When we return, we'll have an extensive conversation on the show. Do stay with us.
morning, interesting talking point, would be the crescendo of the Miami Open. Well, Arena Sabalenka with world number 1 would be taking on Coco Gauff, world number 4, a favorite from the home turf in readiness for this. Well, one key talking point has been the momentous belief system that's come with Arena Sabalenka, in particular this year after beating Alina Rybakina. Well, in stretch sets. We'll also get a look at a practice looking at the Japanese Grand Prix and Formula One. Team Mercedes doing quite well. George Russell leading the pack. And similarly in the world of basketball, we'll talk about it. And Nigeria's female team, when it has to do with the real basketball, would be something to really talk about. Qualifying for the first time, the women's wheelchair basketball team qualifying for the first time to the Commonwealth Game. Surely we'll talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria games taking place. The playoffs also taking center stage. A first phase of the FIFA World Cup playoffs has taken place. The likes of Reggae Boys, Jamaica have qualified. A key incident in that particular game against New Caledonia, where the captains of the side, the captain of New Caledonia, gave the captain of the Reggae Boys something, but it ended as a sad story. It would be a multiplicity of conversation and really interesting talking points. Super Eagles also prepare in this regard. Well, I'm not alone in the house. With David Furniture being part of the mix this morning. With David, good morning.
Well,
so good to see you.
An absolute delight to be back talking about international breaks. I think I'm quite excited because not just that the intercontinental but plus that I followed, I saw Bosnia and Herzegovina doing quite well. One step now to their continental playoffs, and it makes a lot of sense. Wales missing out on the World Cup for the 3rd straight time.
Well, there's always going to be that concern. Bosnia against Italy next. Good morning. Good to see you today.
Good to be back.
Well, Mfana was keeping it simple and ready to embark. We get into the quarterfinals of it, shall we? Now let's start from the men's category afterwards we'll talk about the women's category and the excitement in these different categories. At the Miami Open, Yannick Sinner aged closer to Sunshine doubles with dominant Miami quarterfinal win, beating Francis Tiafoe in stretch set in this one. 1 hour, 10 minutes it was. Quite a disappointing outing for ought to show, but at the moment we're thinking probably home support could change it. But Yannick Sinner, absolutely fantastic. TT wins at so far when it has to do with Miami games and not Miami games, when it has to do with 1000 Masters event, surpassing earlier, and we're talking about that progression going even further.
Well, it would have actually been surprising if Francis Tiafoe got the better of Sinner, but not surprising at the other stage where Sinner eventually got the better of Francis Tiafoe, because it looked almost obvious. Basically, yesterday we talked about the struggles of American male tennis players in recent years, and I think Francis Tiafoe is trying compete at easy competitions where we do not have top-seeded players, but at the big stage gets to crumble. But I think it was progress for him. Even making it to the quarterfinals was a very big motivation for the man Francis Tiafoe. But facing a top-seeded player, the Italian, it was always gonna be very difficult to get the better of Yannick Sinner. Talk about the quality of Yannick Sinner and the likes of Karak. So Francis Tiafoe, I do not know what to say at the moment, but I think the man, of course, should also know the very fact that in the band, of course, play, and that's why we've seen him drop drastically in recent times. I made mention of Ben Shelton the other time because I look at Ben Shelton's age, I look at where he's at the moment. Always you're going to find him between, of course, the top 10 and the top 15, and that shows the quality of the man. And I think if he keeps that consistency level going, he might just be one American to talk about in a very long time. So Francis Tiafoe, for me, still has a whole lot to improve on. Otherwise, he might just be a man who was one time, of course, a potential player, but at the moment struggling with, of course, his balance.
Struggling with his balance, Francis Tiafoe in that direction. A big struggle for him in the last 2 years, considering the fact that he was building momentum. And when you talk about a US player that's really done well in recent times, despite just getting to world number 4 and not going past direction. Well, unfortunately, as you stick to the men's category in the world of tennis, it would be Alexander Zverev getting a better of Sorndolo, the Argentine international. Stretch set today, 6-1, 6-2 victory for Alexander Zverev, the German international, a third-seeded player in the world in this competition. But one conversation isn't just about this game. it would be the next game they're facing, because we'll have world number 1 against world number 3. Alexander Zverev against Yannick Sinner. I don't know what the expectations are, but I mean, look at it last year, not last year, barely 2 weeks ago, we saw an encounter between the two at the finals, and it was Yannick Sinner getting the better of Alexander Zverev. And now Yannick Sinner is really hoping to become the first man in the men's category since 2017, since Roger Federer won the Sunshine Doubles, which means winning the Indian Wells alongside the Miami Open.
So I think once that lose 6-love could be worse.
Well, I'm not sure it's going to happen anywhere that way, because we talk about
he had that result 2 times last year.
Yeah,
it could happen again this year.
Not against Alexander Zverev. Well, last time our door closed 6-2, 6-4. It was at the finals of Indian Wells, and now they're facing each other. Talking about no one could stop him. At the beginning of the tournament, many people thought it was going to be most likely could be a battle between Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic here. That's the name, but now Sebastian Korda had beaten Carlos Alcaraz out, and we had Novak Djokovic withdraw from the competition. And it's going to be Jerry Laheka against Otto Fields. Game second place today. A big game. You put them side by side. Jerry Laheka, the Czech international, has been around for a while. But Otto Fields, a young star, 21 years of age, also being ready. A battle between world number 21 against world number 28 being Otto Fields.
I think they're actually close in terms of the level of quality we've seen them in recent times. And just yesterday, we were talking about Jerry Laheka doing quite well, advancing to the next phase of a competition. But I think Otto Fields at the moment, I'll pick the man over Jerry Laheka. We talk about, of course, the man, vibrancy, especially on the pitch. I look at Otto Fields, not just this year, still the start of last year. He's been on the lips of many for good reasons, advancing to a likes of quarterfinals and semi-finals of competition. Of course, though not 1,000 Masters event, but at 500 tour level, you always see the man. And of course, I think the consistency
has not also done that, especially considering where he's standing.
Yeah, he's done that, no doubt about that. But I'm also looking at the very fact that Otto Fields has been able to build that name for himself over the years. And we're also talking about the age gap between Jerry Laheka and of course Otto Fields as well. He's much younger. The momentum, of course, around Otto Fields favors him more ahead of Jerry Laheka. Not actually, of course, underrating Jerry Laheka at the moment. I think the man, of course, is also in a very quality form at the moment. But I think Otto Fields for me stands out. I would have actually wanted this finals to be between Yannick Sinner and Alexander Zverev, because it looks like those are the only 2 names left in this particular competition. So it is quite obvious that
so it sounds like anyone wins from the other angle. It gets to be who plays here.
Absolutely.
But
so that's what it is at the moment.
The very fact that a player gets to the final of it, that's something to talk about.
Absolutely. But most times you got to see these players who are below the top 10 being overwhelmed by the very fact that you're facing a quality player at the finals. And in most cases, might just
for yourself, beating a big superstar in that regard. We got to see what pounds out. But quickly, still at the Miami Open, we talk about the women's game. One game that stand out. Well, it's a game of records, a game of status. A battle between world number 1 and world number 3. Aryna Sabalenka against Elena Rybakina. Well, this time out, it was quite easy for Aryna Sabalenka, showing class and dominance. Remember, after beating Hailey Baptiste in the round before now, the quarterfinals of it, she talked about improving 8-10, and she talked about a possibility of improving in terms of the quarter performance. But she was absolutely phenomenal. Aryna Sabalenka, world number 1, beating world number 3, Elena Rybakina, 6-4, 6-3 in this one. Surprising, she's added a number. Her career meeting has been about 17 now, 10 victories for her.
I think for Sabalenka and talking about Rybakina, they are the best 2 at this point. When we look at the women's tennis, I think they've got to that stage where you can say they are steps ahead of the rest. Iga Swiatek is really faltered since 2024. She's not really gotten to that level we knew her to break at 2022 to 2024. I think the early stages of it. But right now, Rybakina has stepped up. I think I can comfortably say she's on par with Sabalenka. She can give her a run for her money. For me, that was the final before the final, and I feel whoever wins that, whoever won that game would always go on to win the competition. Now Sabalenka has progressed in that particular semi-final. I see her getting on to win against Kori Kukukov, who won the other semi-final. Well, it's good for Sabalenka. I think she's doing quite well for herself. Last year we talked about her not really having a very, very good year in terms of Grand Slams. She just won all of them. She's already got the Australian Open, got the BNP Paribas Open, and now she's trying to complete the Sunshine Doubles. For Sabalenka, I think she's a top top name, and she's slowly etching her names with the likes of the Serena Williams of this world, the Venus Williams, and all of that. I see her, remaining on top of her game for quite a very long time.
Being on top of a game for quite a long time, I've spoken about it. David, let's look at another cap to this one. It would be Corey Kokogav getting a better Muchova in this one. A battle between world number 4 and world number 13, beating the Czech Republic and 6-1, 6-1. And that's a statement of intent when he flocks somebody at the semi-finals of a competition with that number. But a conversation as she gets to face a world number 1 Arena Sabalenka moving forward. Corey Kokogav, first time she's getting to the Miami Open final, but she's spoken about it. Intent in this one, especially for the people around Florida. She wants to really impress and wants to get that victory at the final. Is this something that gets to happen looking at Saturday when the games get to play?
I think it's very, very possible at the moment. Recall, Corey Kokogav announced her, name bigger, especially on the tennis scene, was when she won the US Open. So it was also, more like a home favorite in that particular competition. And this is another competition stage in the US. We're also talking about home favorites here. And it looks like the ladies also got momentum in our side. But I think it's quite good, when you actually progressing and look into what the numbers, especially at a very young age. And I think that's where Corey Kokogav is at the moment. Finals against Sabalenka, an evenly poised game, and I think to a large extent this would be one of the most difficult games for golf in this particular competition, because you face top seeded players, those in the top 15, those in the top 10, but your finals at the end of this particular competition, she will now be world number 3, just behind Rybakina and Sabalenka ranking. So it shows the progress of Corey Kokogav in recent times and how she also been able to build blocks of consistency for herself. Sabalenka for me still stands out as the most favorite to take this particular trophy, but I'm not writing off Corey Kokogav. If she plays her best tennis, and definitely she can get the better of Sabalenka.
And definitely she can get the best of Sabalenka, across her fingers, and see who gets this victory moving forward at the finals. And quickly, we'll switch gear and talk about Formula 1 and practice. Looking forward to the Japanese Grand Prix. It's something to talk about with the likes of George Russell leading the pack for Mercedes 1-2 in Suzuka practice. We're going to give you a bit of details that comes with this one now. Well, we hear that George Russell was a bit surprised looking at the pace of McLaren's Oscar Piastri has set the fastest time in Friday's practice, but Piastri ended the first day running at a classic Suzuka track at 0.092 seconds ahead of Russo's teammates Kimi Antonelli. What a marking, or what many would talk about a preparation to what gets to happen even further in the world of Formula 1. And quickly, I'll move to the world of basketball. It will be the very fact that Nigeria's women's wheelchair basketball team have qualified, the sole qualifier for the Commonwealth Games. It is after beating South Africa 3v3. Wheelchair basketball team in that direction, beating South Africa was the scores 8-3 in the final of the IWBF Africa qualifiers in London. We're talking about Angola, the tournament taking place. Remember, at the group stage, I had lost to the same South Africa 5-2, but they found a way to defeat South Africa in this one. And they had beaten Kenya in the semi-final 6-2 before winning against South Africa. And guys, we won't have to stick with it, but congratulations to the girls, and they're moving forward. And so a good tour for them and moving even further. And now let's talk about the ones that interest me the most. It would be the very fact that a US club has announced, Connecticut Suns have announced appointment of former D-Tigers star Chinese Nwabu. Well, unfortunately now, the franchise new director of player relationships seems like something very good from a Nigerian's point of view. Talking about Chinese Nwabu being appointed in that position to be a part of bring her experience as a professional basketballer over the years into the team and do some good. I don't know how you will pick the news about this one, how good it is from a Nigerian point of view.
I would say it's excellent news for Nigeria's sport, the sporting scene. Now, when you look at, Nigerians doing quite good in their respective fields. For Chinese, I think she's been at the top of her game for quite a long time. She's represented Nigeria at different Afro-Basket championships. She's also been at the FIBA World Cup when Nigeria was defeated by United States of America. So she's done her bit. She's also represented Nigeria at the Olympics. So quite a very, very successful career she's had. Now she's transitioning into that administrative role, and where else to start that at Connecticut. I think she's really known the city of Connecticut for quite a long time, so she's going to do well with the players. She's now in a role where she has to interface with players more, guide them with their relations both on and off the pitch, because when you look at the technicalities surrounding that particular appointment, it's all about trying to help players, especially female basketballers, life after basketball, not just about on the pitch and all of that. Her role centers more for life off the pitch. What happens when some of these basketballers feel it's time to go get a child or something? What happens when this basketballer feel I need to get married and maybe have a family? So her role is now to help these players integrate their lives off the pitch with their lives on the pitch and have a very, very healthy balance.
Well, let's talk about a balance that could come with it anyway. At the end of it, a big talking point around this would be the very fact that it could build that momentum before the Nigerian superstars to add up the number, joining international club sides and franchise, and see how they play a role to bring that wealth of experience into the success of some of these basketball teams, and in the long run, also help the D Tigers in that direction. Before you get to go on that break and talk about a talking point, especially the world of football, it would be the Hornets snapping the next 7-game win streak with 114-103 victory. Similarly, Jalen Duran also having 30 points, double-double, leads a Piston past Pelicans 129-108, and the Magic's stopping 6-game losing streak by beating the Kings 111-107. Now we're having time to go into the analysis regarding the NBA, but we'll go on a quick break. And when we're back, there will be football stories all around the world talking about the game between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Iran today, and when it has to do with the international friendly. I will give you details around what could happen in Senegal's friendly in preparation to launch and showcase the AFCON trophy, despite that appeal board giving it back to Morocco, or giving it to Morocco. I can't use the word back, but we'll talk about details of this when we return from the break. Don't go anywhere. Trophy ceremony reportedly organized for Senegal, with the title having allegedly been reassigned to Morocco by the CAF, and the events could lead to legal proceedings and a request to place the trophy under a judicial custody. If the ceremony goes ahead, the organizers could be held liable for title misappropriation and may face claims of damages under civil law. That's coming from the president of Moroccan Lawyers Club in that direction. But Senegal is saying it doesn't matter, we'll have to parade this trophy. We want it on the field of play, and we've gone to CAS.
I think it's very, very, I think they're just getting petty now. That's the word to use. Everyone's getting petty. Morocco trying to be petty, Senegal trying to be petty, because there's no need to display the trophy. We know you want it. So why are you displaying it now? We know this particular case, it's just like now, you know, you have a particular land ruling, you have a dispute with the land, and then someone is taking you to court, and you're still going to build a land in it, build a house in it. It's very, very funny. It doesn't make sense. It's the same thing. The same thing. Something is in dispute. You're not supposed to be parading it as yours. That's how it, you know, it looks now at the moment. So I think Senegal should
coming from a lawyer, no problem. I wouldn't dispute it either.
No, I think it's common. It should be common knowledge. You know, you have a laptop. You got a laptop, and then you know you take it to court that laptop is not yours. First of all, that laptop would be in dispute. You're not supposed to be taking it as yours at that moment till it is resolved. You cannot use it. That's what we're talking about.
It brings you out of conversation. If you're saying in that direction, then it shouldn't be in possession of Senegal.
Exactly. They've been asked to return it. They've been asked. CAF asked them to return. We talked about it on the show, right? They asked them dispute. So why are you parading yourselves as winners of the trophy? That's my question now.
Well, Fanny came in perspective to that and saying, well, Senegal shouldn't be parading it. Then, well, Senegal shouldn't be parading it, especially when they're playing a friendly match in France. Is that concerned? And the Moroccan lawyers concerned. And the Moroccan lawyers president has also talked about the organizers, and the state president has also talked about the organizers, and the state happen even further, and what changes gets to come with it. Which would there be no point nodding, you're not a lawyer. Looking at a head-to-head on what they've done in recent times, I think the last time I played was a draw. But we're looking at Iran, the rise of Iranian football so far, absolutely fantastic. Despite the very fact that there's a country is embattled with war with Israel, we're not going to look at it, but from a football point of view, Super Eagles of Nigeria against Iran, what are we expecting today?
I think I'm more concerned about the Super Eagles now, because I'm also looking forward to see what Eric Sepucha will be able to do with the boys. The new faces in camp, also inviting new faces in that particular setup. So you could also give them opportunity. I'm not talking about Wilfred Ndidi not playing the game. Could come in the second half.
Any new midfielder in that mix?
Yeah, we've got a new midfielder. I can't wrap my head around, of course, the name at the moment, but we've got a new midfielder in the blocks as well, who's also a defensive midfielder. So I think Eric Sekuchel has all it takes, and what he has to do now is basically to give these players opportunity to do better for themselves. Maybe in the long run, we could also see these players stay with the national team if they do better.
Well, if they do better, get us there with the national team. Is that conversation funny now? Let's talk about the new player that's Nwaibu. It seemed like a good one for them, especially when playing in Turkey Trabzonspor. Many would argue probably should have been given a chance a long time ago, but it's basically what it is. Big opportunity for him to take in this one.
I think for Nwaibu, he's actually had a very good year with Trabzonspor. He moved from Ayimba Football Club when they won the league with Finidi George, and he moved to Europe. But he recently got really good with Trabzonspor towards last season and this season
like
as well.
A quick price for him.
Definitely. So it's exciting to see if he can play as a midfielder as well. So when you're asking about midfielders, I expect Chibik Nwaibu to be able to slot into that defense. He can play as a defender. That's why he was drafted into. Eric Sekuchel is trying to involved in this particular fixture. But I'm expecting Eric Sekuchel to not lose this match. That's what I'm expecting, not lose the match. So maybe that's why he's introducing, bringing still some of these key players for the side. We know the likes of Samuel Chukwueze, everyone, all the big names involved in this particular match. They're going to be playing today against Iran, and then maybe against Jordan. We can get to maybe field some of the lessons because Iran is, no matter what we want to say about them, they're very top side. So something to look out for, and excited to see the game later today by 2 p.m. Definitely going to be having my eyes on that particular one.
Well, I don't know what expectations so much could be for the guys, but it's a friendly game. I want to see some of the young stars.
And just not going to the World Cup. We've got to watch it. That's the excitement for me. Maybe we might not watch the Super Eagles till late after, maybe like towards the year September.
So it could have been for you. The main guys were not there. But just a few young stars being drafted.
Exactly.
So I can understand from Fontina what a reason to be excited and to watch the Super Eagles to Nigeria. Most often than not, I hear people talk about they don't like Super Eagles to Nigeria, but when Super Eagles are not playing, they're not happy. They want to watch the side. Well, our home fund doesn't fall into that particular category. Similarly, from the NNL, the Nigeria National League, it would be the fact that Doha United and Rangers in center stage, it will play next against Bosnia, as Bosnia were able to go past Wales on penalties, and it's that conversation, put that side by side with the very fact that France had beaten Brazil in a friendly match that took place 2-1 victory. Kind of surpassing is that conversation. But basically, the top guys are ready for the World Cup from a European point of view and from the intercontinental playoffs.
I think it's quite good for the Italian national team. Yesterday we made mention about the Italy side being unable to qualify for the World Cup with the last 2 editions, and it was quite sad for them, especially judging from the quality of that national team. Sandro Tonali stepped up yesterday for the side. He scored the first goal, and of course they had the second goal as well. A comfortable victory for the Italian national team. But I think against Bosnia, it might not, of course, be so easy for them now. Yeah, one could also look at the Bosnian and Herzegovina national team and pick at it in Dzeko and said, after all this Dzeko, what next do they have? But if you actually have players who understand themselves on the pitch of play, then they can actually hurt any national team. And I want the Italian team to, of course, take that game serious and try and qualify for the World Cup under the tutelage of Gennaro Gattuso. That's where they are at the moment. We're looking forward to that particular exciting match.
Well, I think also my pick for yesterday night was Sweden. We've talked about the man Graham Potter on a very bad note, since when he was with Chelsea. But he started yesterday on a very good note, 3-1 against their opponent, and that's a very good result for them. Now they are one step in the next round of the competition. That's already, they're facing Poland next. And when you look at the Polish national team and the Swedish national team, I think Graham Potter has really got a chance. I think for me it's more of a 60-40 now, with Sweden having 60, because when you look at the Polish national team, Robert Lewandowski seems to be their main man. He's 38 years of age. How can he? I don't think he's got what it takes to lead that Polish team past the Swedish team. We've got Victor Gyökeres, we've got Anthony Lange, we've got Lucas Bergvall. So lots of very good players in that Swedish national team.
Lots of good players in the Swedish national team from the UEFA playoffs. Italy against Bosnia, Turkey against Kosovo next, and Sweden against Poland, and Denmark take on Czech Republic. It's that conversation, and it gets so interesting to look at some of these numbers. And the players also have taken center stage, some big names. Yesterday, I think something caught my attention was Suriname national team. They've done some big moves despite losing to the Reggae Boys, Jamaica, but somehow the likes of Patrick Kluivert and Clarence Seedorf also have been appointed as federation advisors in that direction. So other games will take place even further as Victor Yokere's incredible hat-trick as he's swinging in Mohamed Salah now. He didn't want the guys to stay now. Mohamed Salah is saying he's going to retire, but he's talking about him not going to Saudi Arabia when the Saudis are bringing big money. But I wouldn't want to ask you guys.
He said the Man City deserves to play